In an interview with Todd on Bethesda's newest open-world RPG game Starfield, some new information was shared. One such nugget was that Bethesda think that, quote-unquote, it's just not that important to actually fly your ship from space to the surface of a planet. And this revelation was thanks to IGN, of all godforsaken places. So, let's talk about that. Among the little details like that the open world of Starfield is going to have 1,000 worlds to land on, and that most will be procedurally generated, which is fun and for space games actually quite a staple from the very start. Or that the story will be around 40 hours of playtime, which is okay and doesn't really tell us anything about the actual quality. Or that even Fallout 5 will be coming after Elder Scrolls 6. The quote that shocked many space game fans, especially the space sim players, was the infamous quote about actually playing the landing sequence and it not being automated cutscene, simply being quote-unquote not that important. And while today I'm not gonna speculate on overall Starfield goodness or badness as a game, this one little feature may seem like such a little detail, but there's just a little bit more than you may think. In fact, much more. So, right off the get-go, many keen-eyed viewers of the gameplay trailer noticed a button that read LAND. Rightfully, people guessed that that would simply set a destination on a planet's surface, and then like a little child that cannot be trusted around the electronical toaster in a bathroom, the fun part is taken away from you. Well, I suppose then we should talk about space travel, and space sims as a game genre. See, space games are made by bigger nerds than your average nerd, and certainly things are expected, like some actual understanding of science, unlike whatever the hell the Star Trek Picard does. Seriously, don't watch it. Anyways, the other part comes from space sims. I made a few videos explaining this subgenre and how it evolved. I'll have the links for them in the description, but basically, starting with 2012, there was a resurgence in this genre and some great examples released, setting the bar for not only the best practices, but even the simple basic mechanics that not only needed to be made, but simply are not a technical challenge anymore. One such feature is landing on planets, and it's not just by pressing a button and it's automatically done for you, but actually piloting the space vessel. Now that I think of it, actually a nice comparison would be from flight sims. Imagine having nice flight mechanics, but to land? Oh, no, you don't need to do that, that's just not that important. Just press a fucking button. I seriously cannot make this any more clear comparison, really, so how about we explain the process of involving the player and why it's so important. I'll then take the top 3 space sim games as an example, which no doubt everyone will be comparing Starfield to ad nauseum. Actually, 2 of them are responsible for that resurgence in 2012. First then, let's take Star Citizen, and though among these 3 games it's not a game really just yet, it's perfectly outlining the visual spectacle that atmospheric landings, as well as non-atmospherics, can bring. As you approach the big ball of dirt, your subconscious probably already knows that in-game it's just a simple low polygon sphere with some textures, but as you approach and technology gives way to seamless transition, you actually start to see hills and canyons become alive, and that gives a meaning to space travel. Still, Star Citizen is pretty as fuck, and it perfectly displays that first breaching the exosphere you start hearing the hull start to creak and lights start changing. Then as you drop into thermosphere, your camera and even ship itself could start physically drift with a little sound coming in more. In the mesosphere, the signature atmospheric burn starts to happen, giving way to the most dreaded and dangerous part of entry, the drama. As the ship slows down in stratosphere, you start to see the destination with a sweet relief, and as you fall through the troposphere, you start going through the cloud layer, giving that airplane magical feel. So, to put it bluntly, it's a magnificent experience when done right, and no matter if you are a nerd or not, it's possibly the most exciting part of space travel ever. Now then, taking from Elite Dangerous example of landing, it can be somewhat segmented, but still feel like a seamless transition. However, Elite will be your representative for the actual challenge of landing in the first place. While it's true that nearly all space sims don't bother making landings on planets really a challenge, while in real life it's probably a hell of a job, having some kind of a punishment for not doing even a simple job, like don't go too fast, should be in place. Even if it is making sure that you don't hit the ground with ramming speed and make a nice pancake. So, to put a meaning behind this beauty, you need some kind of a threat. Moreover, once the player learns how to do it, overcoming this challenge and being able to repeat it, well, it's much like getting a driver's license, or maybe pilot's license. You know, earning your wings, if you will. And then finally, your biggest comparison point. Even No Man's Sky has it. You see, even among space sims, No Man's Sky has always been sort of a casual among hardcores. Some barely even think of it as a space sim due to its lackluster focus on spaceships. Still, today this game will represent the simplicity and immersion. Now, when you take away the control from the player, that is a cutscene, loading screen, that breaks the immersion, or simply the feeling that you're being there in-game. Now, even No Man's Sky, the console casual-tastic peasantry, knew that landing on planets, no matter how simple it is, you need to make it. See, No Man's Sky landings, as you can see, are full of that drama that I talked about before, but ultimately it's just a light show since you can't even hit the planet, and that's a separate issue. So it takes a certain liberty with that, but no matter. The developers knew that going from space to standing on a planet should not be skipped by any means. Allowing the player to start the descent and hell, even stop it midway for whatever reason gives the player that feel that yes, this is all me. I can go left, right, up and down. Hell, even botch the re-entry. This is all me and this is my spaceship. Not just some box-shaped Uber with a fake Duplo steering wheel that I'm piloting. Fact is, space sims, the genre that Starfield seems to be interested in breaking into these days, is dictated heavily by the words experience and immersion. And spaceships sometimes. Now, No Man's Sky is the best comparison since both might not really be interested into spaceships at all that much, but make no mistake, spaceships have incredible power, sway that cannot be ignored and should not. There are expected principles of space sims that are not just good to have features, but actually common sense expectations. I mean, you can just simply ask Elite Dangerous what happens when you go against the grain. In the end, well, Starfield is trying to be quote-unquote unique, but with this sort of a thinking of quote-unquote just not that important, kind of shows the disconnect of the designer team having with the game they're making. Now, if you allow me another comparison, then it'd be the same level of quote-unquote uniqueness as making a modern pistol without a trigger. There is a reason why re-entry is nearly never skipped in space-related movies when applicable, and there is a reason why in games, just watching it happen is just not the same level as even a little bit of interaction. So do let me know what you think down below, and as always, for more news and this kind of stuff, do subscribe. And if you want to support a little bit more, well then check out the Patreon link down below. But for now, that's about it, and well hey, maybe go check out the Space Sim history video, or basically what is Space Sim video, to see what's this Space Simness all about, or where it came from.